silence all around the line. If they get the chance, they were born in bloody circumstance. To go, leave me, run like you've never run before. A voice from the underground, given room to breathe, not but be drowned. So die if you get the chance. Better men than you've been left this dance. To go, leave me, run like you've never run before. I have seen the worst, and there is nothing left for me to hate, so I can lay me down, my brothers, on the ground. I bled today until Coyote comes to raise me up and carries me away. To go, leave me, run like you never did. No, believe me, run like you've never run before.
Hello, and welcome to the Scottish Rugby Podcast in association with the Scottish Rugby Blog. I'm joined tonight by, I was going to say butcher, but it's one of the three you aren't. You're a baker and a candlestick maker, Leslie. So not a butcher.
Yes, not butcher just yet, no.
The inimitable Leslie Ramage, and the one and only Mark Riley, the Border Badger, who appears to be an albino badger these days, and that he's all white.
Yeah, more of a silver fox than a badger nowadays, but what can you do? Although thinking about going down the butcher line myself, I bought a piece of pork belly today, so I'm going to make my own pancetta in the next couple of weeks. So I'll let you know how that goes.
Oh, I need some pictures. I quite fancy that.
Yeah. It's actually if you've got the space. I've made it before, but not in my current house. So if you've got the space to hang it and dry it, it's it works well. So I'll let you know how that goes.
Maybe this could be our DIY, sort of like 30 minutes of pancetta chat at the beginning. Welcome to the Scottish Rugby Podcast. We're part of the Sports Social Network. Give us a follow or like if you fancy. But to be honest, this is an OnlyFins, so you've probably done both of those things already. And if you haven't, we're very disappointed in you. I was going to say you can find us all on social media, but I don't really post on social media these days. I occasionally post on the Bad Place. I've never really got the hang of Blue Sky, and I'm 251 for Instagram. So yeah, and links can be found on scottishrugbyblog.co.uk. And if you haven't reviewed us on Apple or your podcast app, feel free to do that, unless you're going to say something bad, in which case maybe don't bother. That's grand. So, totally normal week, nothing much happening. We'll start off with a wee bit of news, some lovely news to begin with. I believe that the clan Van der Merwe has an announcement, Leslie.
Yes, baby Van der Merwe is due January, according to lovely Nika's post, which is excellent. Hopefully, we've got more talent coming through the Scottish pathway.
Absolutely. I just hope the midwife puts the baby in Duhan's hands really securely and doesn't, pass
Both hands. Yeah.
Doesn't ask him to give the baby to anybody else.
We're safe. He's not going to do that, but just maybe don't run into anyone whilst holding your baby, Duhan. That's grand. So yeah, don't have any Englishmen in that suite because he'll try and run round them. Smashing. And Mark, the other wee bit of news was, I believe the under-20s have been doing all right.
They have indeed. Considering how much in the doldrums they were only, a couple of years ago. They weren't even in the top competition. They've come back in and they've been playing very good rugby and winning. They beat Argentina in the...
It's not for everyone.
Absolutely. Not everyone can say that. However, both Scotland senior team and the under-20s can say that today. Playing some great rugby as well. It's not just... They haven't just scraped wins. They've played some fantastic rugby. They've got some great young lads coming through. So they're on to play Wales in the 5th place playoff. On Friday, I think I'm right at saying 17:30.
Friday 5, yeah.
You have the normal clock.
Friday 5:30, Prem Sports and Rugby Pass TV.
Yeah. Yeah. And genuinely, the thing I've been impressed with is not just that they're winning, but the rugby they're playing. It looks like they're... I suspect it's more through design than luck, but they're playing what we might call the Scottish brand. So whilst the forwards are holding their own and being aggressive, they're going wide, great skills, great offloading, thoroughly enjoyable games to watch. So doing it to Wales tomorrow night would just be icing on the cake. Really would.
Yeah, I mean, I think, look, we want them to win, of course we do. I think we have to be realistic and say that from where they were, is still a good outcome for having come into this.
Yeah, it's huge.
But boys, just go and make us proud, would you? That'd be great.
Well, I think. I think. Sorry, Leslie.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, I think 6 would be a fantastic outcome for them. Even if they don't beat Wales tomorrow. And one of the things that I'm hugely encouraged by is that, irrespective of the fact you've got guys like Obelisk who will be in the seniors next year, this will be his last year with under 20s. You've got lads like Jake DL, who's basically still in short trousers and not just on the rugby pitch. He's only 17, and there was a couple of others that played last weekend that were 17 and 18. So they have... This is a team that is in formation as well. They have another 2 or 3 years of playing in the under 20s. So, yeah, 6 would be fabulous for them, but for me, encouraging signs all right.
Excellent. Leslie, what were you going to say?
I was going to say the icing on the cake doesn't matter if we're 5th or 6th, we'll still finish higher than Ireland.
Yes, indeed. Yeah.
They're playing for 8th, 9th, I think, something like that. So
I just had the wee bit of Schadenfreude that it was even bigger than the one I got when saying beating Argentina wasn't for everyone. So,
maybe they should have retained David Nusafora to look after their pathways for them.
That is one thing we might have to revise the whole Nusafora thing if it turns out the under-20s start purring like a like a Rolls Royce. We might have
Well,
to be.
I made that comment somewhat deliberately because there is no way that somebody who sorted out their pathways 2 years ago is resultant in their slide now any more than somebody that's only been in Scottish rugby a couple of years is resultant in our success now.
I think we're lucky we've got a group of very good players have all come through it kind of at the same time.
Yes, I agree. Yeah.
I think that's always been the problem for Scotland. We've had good players coming through, but in dribs and drabs, and not actually all coming through at the same time. But maybe that's actually there's been some plan, whether it's Nusifora or whether it's his predecessors. That rugby league chap who was going to be wonderful and then just didn't seem to do anything. But we'll see.
I've said many times in a professional capacity, and I think I've said it on here as well, there is nothing breeds success like success. And youngsters of 2 or 3 years ago were watching Scotland becoming better and competitive. And okay, we weren't winning trophies, but we were getting better and better. Youngsters of 6, 7, 8 years ago were not seeing that from the senior team. So we're maybe not going, yeah, I could go and do that. They're maybe thinking, yeah, I could go and play squash instead.
Or maybe I shouldn't stick at rugby and I'll go and do that law degree, or whatever. So,
exactly. Yeah.
But yeah, all good actually. Very positive.
Very
We've had apologies from Johnny tonight. He's on holiday in Millport, and it's just very difficult for him to get Wi-Fi back there in 1962. So there's, I think it's only dial-up.
Probably, what was it? 9.6 odd, so that's 0.96 of a megabyte per second, something like that. That's where the dial-up was.
Oh, don't. There was a joke from the IT crowd that occurred to me, and I thought, no, I better not say that one on there. But grand. Okay, shall we talk about the game? I mean, pretty comfortable South Africa win. There was. It was a pretty comfortable South Africa win. So just business as usual. Is that right, Mark?
After about 17 minutes, I thought it was going to be. But no, I think, honestly, I think the score flattered them. I think, they were good for the win, but genuinely, I thought Scotland played as well as, if not better than, I've seen them in a long time. Both in the forwards and the backs. I think we were just let down. Sione said it in his interview immediately after the game. Execution at critical points, but for a couple of instances that you would have fully expected the Scottish players to complete. Staines catch. I'm going to say this quite clearly, the pass to Ashman for his knock-on. Not Ashman missing the ball, the pass to his eye socket for his knock-on. That in any other game, we'd have scored from both of those.
And his eye socket, because he's a hooker, he's got quite a lot of frontal bossing. His eye socket's quite a bit further ahead than his actual eye. So there's a whole depth perception problem there. This is me sort of upsetting the front row union, but hookers don't count props. They only count when a lock challenges us.
Hookers are just slow back rowers.
I think in Scotland, as you know, that has been demonstrably true for the last wee while.
Has a bit, hasn't it? Yeah. I hold firm to the fact that Ross Ford was the best back rower we never had.
He would have been good. Perhaps more in the Dean Richards mould of back row. Stick it up your jumper and just run into people. But, Dean Richards had a good career and broke our hearts quite a lot of the time for a reason. He was a bloody good number 8. Even if he didn't look the most inspiring and couldn't hang on to the Kolkata Cup. So. Grand, sorry, that's one for the kids there.
Yeah, one for the youngsters, yeah. I was about to go off down a rabbit hole about them bringing him out of retirement for a Grand Slam match against us one time, which they won. But we'll leave that one. That genuinely is 20 years of hurt.
Yeah, we'll send that. We'll save that one for the next lockdown. Leslie, what did you think of the game?
Well, I only saw little bits of the first half on Saturday, and I didn't see any of the second half. So when I saw social media saying how wonderful this game was, and I've listened to podcasts through the week, and they've all been like, "Oh yeah, Scotland played great," and I thought, "Great, I'll have to watch it today." So I have to go for the pod tonight. And I watched it, I'm thinking, must be missing something here because it was better. Was it great? No, I don't actually think it was that great. There was moments of greatness that we did very well, but overall, why is nobody talking about how poor the defence was? And like goal line defence. I'm not talking about the scrambling back, that it happens, but goal line defence was really poor. Is it Lee Bradford, the new defence coach?
Bradford.
Got some work to do because some of those tries were very easy. I would have expected better from... Now, it could be the folks have travelled a lot, it's the altitude, they've had a week. That could well be everybody's just a bit knackered, But if we see this again come Six Nations time, then I think we might have to talk about we have a bit of an issue. I don't think it was very good.
I actually agree with you, Leslie. One of the things that I've found quite incredible to watch from Glasgow over the last year or two is how brutal and committed their goal line defence is. And I wasn't seeing that. And as much as I hate to channel Sean Edwards because I'm taller and I have more hair, he talks about defence being 90% attitude. And I kind of feel that was maybe the guys are not bought into the system or something like that. But equally, not just the goal line defence, but South Africa's last try, and I can't remember who scored it.
Jesse Creel.
Creel, was it? He broke 2 soft tackles before he was in the clear. Either of our lads, and I can't quite remember which players it was from us. And I know they're tired. I know it's the end of the game, but it was 2 tackles that should have been made. And to be perfectly honest, I think that might have been a much fairer. I think 35-28 might have been a much fairer reflection on the game itself. Letting in a soft one at the end was concerning.
You say, so I agree with you on the Jesse Creel try, but the 2 previous tries to that were so it was their 3rd try and their 4th try. Both those tries, there was at least 3 tackles missed per try,
right,
which I would not expect from Scotland normally. You would expect one of those guys to get those tackles in.
When you're talking about multiple...
No, so they're obviously very good, but...
Yeah, and when you're talking about multiple that begins to sound like a systemic problem rather than a player problem.
I was going to say, I think, if you're talking about the Glasgow players and their attitude, it was Glasgow plus. It was Glasgow and friends, wasn't it? You know, I mean, Glasgow are the spine of this Scotland side at the moment. There's no two ways around it. You know, it's so. Presuming that they haven't just decided that they're sacking off Scotland, then it's either the system or the demands of travel or a bit of both.
Combination of the two, probably. Yeah.
Okay, there's a trope Seinfeld is unfunny with people that are watching Seinfeld, having not watched it originally when it was kind of revolutionary, and now there's lots of shows like it. With the same sort of idea being about nothing. And they're like, what's the big deal about this? I think this game, when you watched it at the time, it was better than you're seeing it, I think, Leslie. I think the problems that you've said are all there. But you know what, 73 minutes in, my wife said to me, could they win this? And I said, I don't think they can win, but they can definitely draw. And would we have thought that Scotland's side would have been in that position? You know, what did we say about what we were looking for out of this summer from Scotland? Mine was 2 wins and a performance. We have got that.
Yeah,
It wasn't a perfect performance, but
No.
that's Scotland's side. And that performance that they put in and the score that they got against albeit rotated Springbok side, but it's still a Springbok side.
Hmm.
You know?
I completely agree. I just want to pull you up on something. You said 2 wins and a performance. We've got that. No, we have 1 win and 1 performance.
Okay, we have got the 2. Yes, you're absolutely right, and I apologise. We have got the 2 things that we could have at this stage. We are on the right track.
Yeah.
Baby, we were born this way. Sorry. Hopefully that wasn't enough of a lyric that we have to pay royalties. But yeah, no.
No, I think that, I think a lot of the people, because I've, like you, Leslie, I've read all the stuff, I've listened to the podcast, etc., and people absolutely raving about the game. And in fact, a lot of South Africans on social saying that they were genuinely worried towards the final quarter. Yeah. And if I'm honest, it's because nobody expected it. Mm-hmm. I think, particularly after 2 tries going in the first 16, 17 minutes, I don't know about you guys, but I was thinking, oh, God, here we go again. You know, after a good match last week, we're going to capitulate. So I was chuffed to conkers that we didn't. And I think a lot of people, as fans of the sport, and Allan, you and I had a wee chat about this on our messaging site earlier in the week, fans of the sport as opposed to fans of South Africa. And fans of the sport will have looked at that game and gone, yeah, that was a corker, when it had all the possibility to be an absolute stinker after 17 minutes, you know? So, yeah.
I mean, obviously, we scored 4 tries, which is the most we've scored over the last 3 games. The last previous 2, we didn't score any.
Yes.
So, it certainly wasn't all bad, but I think the hype that I heard about this game, and then when I watched it, I think the hype didn't match what I was seeing. I think that's a bit of my disappointment. Not necessarily the game. I mean, the game wasn't bad necessarily. It was just I had high hopes, and maybe they were too high. My expectations were too high.
No, I think there's something about the way you were. It's like watching Star Wars now versus watching it when you were a kid, when it first came out, or the first time you saw it. I think there's something about the vibes and being caught up in the moment and watching it and how you felt while it was happening, versus looking back knowing the score with a more dispassionate eye. I think that's probably it. And I don't think there was one point my son was like, ha ha, I'm not the one that has to watch this back. And I was like, but he changed his tune come the end.
Yeah. No, I think there's been a lot of talk about the number of visits we had to the 22, and I can't remember off the top of my head what the number was, but it was, I think it was in the low teens, you know, which is superb because we were breaking the line. But our execution in the last 5 to 10 meters was not good enough. And I feel we've said that on here before. And that's a slight concern.
The thing is, what was a bit frustrating was when the times they did score, a lot of it came from being patient, which we've spoke about Scotland not being patient enough, but they can do it. Like I kind of knew roughly when the tries were coming, and you see they kind of slow it down. They're looking for space or people or whatever, and there's a bit more. Bit more time, a bit more thought put into it, and sometimes they were just panicking and rushing it, and like you've already shown that if you're patient, it does come off eventually, but they'll give away a penalty or something stupid. But you're rushing it, and then you're getting turned over, or you're knocking it on, or you're dropping the ball. You can do so much better. Like keep the heat.
Yeah.
Just frustrating at times.
There's something about, though, having the experience of being in that position away from home. Because, look, I don't think our players at international level have that much. Well, we don't have that much experience of playing tough sides, the bigger sides away from home. We don't have the experience of playing, because it was 2014, the last game in South Africa. We're not going down to Eden Park. We're not. Well, we have played Australia in living memory, but whisper it. The Nations Championship's been good for us in that regard because we're not in the summer in Chile and America. All respect to those teams, but they're just banana skins, really, potentially.
Yes, somebody made the point about on I can't remember one of the pods or whatever about Wales having beaten South Africa in South Africa. But number one, it was a tour to South Africa during the summer, so they played 2 or 3 tests against them. And number two, they've beaten them in South Africa. Well done. They've played them something like 9 times. They played the South Africans something like 9 times in the last 6 years. We've played them twice, and both of those were World Cups. This is only the 3rd time. So even by the law of averages, it's more likely that somebody else is going to beat them. You can't simply make that comparison.
Is that win you're saying, Mark, was essentially the infinite number of monkeys and infinite number of typewriters coming up with the works of Shakespeare?
Well, that seems to be how the Welsh Rugby Union comes up with their strategy, so why not their tactics?
Certainly the financial strategy. Yeah. Sorry, we shouldn't gloat. But it is quite fun. Sorry. It's very warm in where I'm recording, and it turns out that that's making me slightly grumpy and anti-Welsh.
Sorry, that's what made you anti-Welsh?
It's what I'm blaming for it, Mark. It's what I'm blaming for it for our Welsh listeners. I believe we get some very nice Welsh listeners, but anyway, sorry. So are Scotland the 3rd best team in the world, or is it same old Scotland? Discuss. Are we the 3rd best team in the world?
No.
I think even Razzie believes that.
No, he's at it. 0 days since Razzie was last at it. I think we're a very good team, and I actually do think there was some good signs of improvement and a bit of a change of how we play as in adding on top of what we already did. Are we up there with New Zealand and South Africa? No, not quite. I think France would be the third. Maybe a bit of a tussle after that, but no.
I wonder if France would be. I was going to say, I wonder if France would be second. I remembered we put 50 points on them at home, so maybe not.
I actually had that as one of my potentials for hands in the ruck. Rassie saying,
sorry, Mark.
We were third. No, it's fine. I've got lots this week. But Rassie saying that we're third best team in the world. Nah, just stop. I genuinely don't think anybody in Scotland believes that, let alone any of the other nations. I agree completely with Leslie. He's just at it. Stop now.
If we beat New Zealand in the autumn, then maybe we can talk about it. But until then, no.
If we beat New Zealand in the autumn and we then go on to beat Ireland in the Six Nations and give a good standing against England and France, well, England not so much, they're down there with Wales basically nowadays, but France particularly, then we can start talking about it. But not having played a good game of rugby that we lost 42-28. Let's be quite clear about that. No.
I think that's the thing. I think Rassie's casting as much shade on us because he knows there'll be the backlash, etc. Well, they won.
He's not
It's kind of acceptable shithousery that from Rassie. He's just I haven't always agreed with his shit as we've dealt with on here a number of times, but this one I'm like, fair play. That's actually quite good.
Yeah, I don't mind that. I have less issue with a lot of the stuff that Rassie did. The only thing that Rassie has done that I take huge exception to was the whole Jaco Johan stuff, because that was directed at the refs, and I think that was A, grossly unfair, and B, really playing the game to make refs afraid to ref South Africa, which I think is fundamentally bloody awful. But the normal shithousery, it's like, whatever. He doesn't offend me anything like the way Eddie Jones used to.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I've got nothing there. I was mate. Oh, mate.
Yeah. All right, mate.
The thing was, Eddie Jones was a bad winner. And actually, you'd be ready, like, I want to see you greet. I want to see your wee greeting face after they lost. And they would come out and just be often they would genuinely be sort of like expansive and conceited. He was just being like a shit in private. But with the press, when they lost, he was sort of like generously crediting the opposition. You're like, no, come out and have a hissy fit like Michael Cheika.
Yeah.
Cheika
doesn't help himself by possibly having the whiniest voice ever to grace a microphone.
It's also a bit like the moon having a tantrum when you see his wee round face. I used to love a Cheika tantrum. Grand. So Scotland were good, but not that good. Is that the take?
Scotland were good, yes. Better than maybe slight improvement from the Six Nations, if we're being kind. A bit more to their attack, but defence still needs a bit of work.
So I suppose, that Scotland performance at Murrayfield versus New Zealand versus Ireland, who wins?
My hottest take, Scotland beat both of them.
Yeah, that was my feel as well. Mark, what do you reckon?
I think it depends if Ireland let any of the guys shuffle off and draw their pensions, or if they keep playing
I thought you say shuffle off the mortal coil. I'm like, they're not that old.
That would seem a little bit extreme. No, I think Andy Farrell is trying to squeeze the absolute dying breaths out of these once great players, and many of them were. You've only got to look at the team they're fielding this weekend. Prendergast brings their average age down by about 15 years. But no, I think you're probably right. I think they're both there for the taking, but there is something about New Zealand where they're in our heads more than Rassie is, irrespective of what the South African crowd might cringe.
Let's put a pin in that particular thought for now, because we've already ruined one hands in the ruck, or I've already ruined one hands in the ruck. So the thing that I found most encouraging was South Africa usually do to us what Ireland did to us in the Six Nations, which is bulldoze our players off the ball, soak everything up, just out physical us in the forward so the backs can't do what they do. And that's why I was so pessimistic about this game beforehand, because I was like, it's just going to be the same again. And yes, we scored tries against Ireland, but they made damn sure we had to keep going so that essentially it was a rope-a-dope, wasn't it? They just let us tire themselves out. And you might score a couple of tries, but we'll get past it, we'll get on. So maybe that's why things were a bit more rushed. Maybe that was partly game plan, because it's like, no, we're not going to do the patient thing and just soak up all their energy. And they're like, oh, well, you've got to try. You win some, you lose some. But so that was the most encouraging thing for me, just that Ireland might not be able to Ireland us. And I like the idea that you're saying that it's a very old team. And they did ask one of my colleagues to join their medical team. So that's how old the players were. And also, I heard a rumour that Andy Farrell's team talks are now just him reading Dylan Thomas's "Do Not Go Gentle" and into that good night, and he's just finished with rage against the dying of the light.
These little sachets you see the players having mid-game, they're always taking it. I assume they're carbs and electrolytes or something like that. They'll be taking it. I believe the Irish ones are now Complan.
I don't think Ty Furlong needs. I don't think Ty Furlong needs Complan. Although maybe they're using the Caro-based thickener that they used to use called Thick and Easy. Maybe it's that. Goodness.
I'm going to see the New Zealand game, so for purely selfish reasons, I'd very much like to see a Scotland win. The first time my dad and I have been able to see New Zealand together, all being well. So because obviously they don't come see us very often, so that would be nice, because we're going to not be going to men's internationals any longer. My dad has kind of had enough of how busy it is, and it's just all a bit overwhelming.
Yeah,
so
I get that.
Probably one of our last.
I can understand.
Will be one of our last games, so get a win. That'd be a nice way to top it off. We're just going to go see the women instead.
I get that.
But plenty of good rugby to watch at the women's games as well.
Very much so.
I've said on here many times, I don't rush to watch the men's Six Nations anymore. The women's Six Nations atmosphere is way better. I thoroughly enjoy it. Yeah.
I'm very fond of the people that sit behind me at Murrayfield, because they've been sitting behind me for years. So I'm very, very fond of them. So
yeah,
I wouldn't hear a word against them. Also, you can't really hear any words against anyone over my shouting. My watch keeps giving me decibel warnings at Murrayfield. And they're like, yeah, that was me.
Oh, dear.
Can you hear yourself? Yes, no one else can hear themselves, though. Grand. Anything else we want to say about the game? Have we kick the backside out of it.
One last thing, I think Gregor Hiddleston may be the future, and Ewan Ashburn may not be the future. Based purely on the last 2 weeks, which I know is very much recency bias, but looks he might be the better player. Sorry, Ewan.
Ewan Ashman isn't Mr. Right, he's just Mr. Right now.
Well, I mean, we've all been there. But yes. Sadly.
I tend to agree. I thought Hiddleston absolutely stepped up, made a huge difference when he came on. He was physical, he was athletic, hit his darts. I know Ashman has taken a lot of brickbats about that knock on, and as I mentioned earlier, I feel very strongly that was not on him. However, he also had a stinker. You know, that was just an obvious issue that I don't believe was his fault. But there were a couple of things like that knock on at the base of the ruck, the maul and things like that. It was just, I'm sorry, that should be bread and butter for a player in his position. But
yeah,
anyway.
We'll see how he goes. But Hiddleston is looking very exciting, it's fair to say.
Very much so.
So that brings us quite neatly to the Fiji match. And I'm more optimistic about this because for whatever reason, Fiji are playing their home game at Murrayfield.
Yes.
And I'm very glad we don't have to go to Suva after that game because speaking of banana skins, going out to Suva is tough. And I look forward to other teams doing it once they get their new 25,000-seater stadium built.
Indeed. It's I do find it wasn't on my list, but I do find it a little bit distasteful that they wouldn't let Fiji have their home games in Suva because they don't have a 25,000-seater stadium, and they only put 16,000 in Cardiff for their away game. Sorry, Fiji's home game, Wales's away game in Cardiff, and they only got attendance of about 16,000. I know there's a benefit there to Fiji getting the numbers. They get the gate takings as if they were the home team, which is great for them, and that might pay for them to build a stadium. So I do appreciate all of that, but it still kind of makes a mockery of it because we know they have a stadium in Suva. We know it's a hard place to go. Nobody else seems to know because nobody's bothered trying it except us.
Did you guys see the graphic of when the teams were last in Suva or in Fiji?
No, I missed that.
So Scotland were there last year, and then it goes through. And if you look at, I think it's England and Wales, they haven't been since like '94, and South Africa and Argentina have never been, ever.
Right.
And I think New Zealand was like in the '80s or something like that.
Hey.
So Scotland and I think Italy, and it went in 2017 or something like that. So we're like the only two teams that have been in the 2000s, basically.
Yeah.
Which is a bit of a disgrace.
It's an absolute disgrace. And that's as much positive for us and negative for the respective unions as it is negative for World Rugby. If they really want to bring the game on for the, in quotes, second string, they need to be mandating some of that. You know, I'm sorry, New Zealand. I'm sorry, New Zealand. You've probably got more Fijian players than anybody else in the country, anybody else in the world, rather, or at least players with Fijian blood. Get out there and play a game. Give them some ticket sales.
Yep.
Anyway, yeah.
I would agree with that. I do like that when the Fijian players were calling it out, they were like, yeah, we respect Scotland for coming to us and getting beat. But it does remind me of going down with our Jocelyn to Dumfries. The Dumfries and the Newton Stewart team would come up And I think there's quite a lot of boys that worked on farms or stuff, so they wouldn't travel. So you beat the team quite handily. Then you get a run down there, and you be all sort of like cock of the walk, and you be like, "Oh yeah, it's quite grand." You get your carry out for after, one or two more inspiring souls having one on the way down in the bus, and then we go out, and suddenly the team's like 3 times the size it used to be. We're like,
some guy that was juggling lambs on his way in this morning.
"Oh yeah, absolutely," and you're like, "Oh god." And you wouldn't even drink the carry out on the way back because you needed too much ibuprofen to genuinely.
Well, I mean, fundamentally, home advantage is significant for a reason, and it's about knowing the pitch, it's about climate, it's about the crowd getting behind you, it's about all of these things. And you go somewhere, take Scotland out of Scotland and send them off to Suva. I wonder they found it hard, as would Wales, as would England, and as would New Zealand. Let's not forget that New Zealand's pretty much got horizontal rain like we have half of the time.
Having spent a year in New Zealand, that's not entirely accurate. It's a lot warmer and also a lot colder because the houses don't have central heating or double glazing. Or
I was just averaging it out.
Yeah, fair. But they can grow wine in Scotland, not so much. Grow grapes to make wine. Sorry, accuracy. Great. Yeah. I have a late edition for Hands on the Ruck that we will deal with after, but we should probably preview the game. Scotland team? Yeah. I feel quite smug because I'm pretty sure the back line is pretty much what I predicted in our chat.
I think it is, yeah.
And Stafford at 12, which will upset John Anderson.
Captain Stafford at that.
Uh-huh.
He is a really unlucky man because in any other era of Scotland centres, since I started playing the game, he'd have 50 caps by now.
Yes. Yeah, I agree. Yeah. I mean, basically, once we lost the likes of Scott Hastings and
Sean Lenine.
Sean Lenine, yeah. We not had a consistent centre pairing. And now Stafford is probably behind 3, maybe more people. And actually, like you say, in any other era, he'd have been first name in the team sheet. No offence to Messrs. Henderson, Morrison, etc. But
Tirolo.
Oh man, yeah.
All honest as the day was long. All gave their all for Scotland.
Who's the guy who used to play with her for Harriets as well?
DeLuca or Rob Dewey?
DeLuca, that's who I'm thinking of. Rob Dewey, I think, was unlucky because he was injured more often than not. I think he could have been a bit better. But...
I think that's because we asked them to run into brick walls all the time.
Yeah, true enough. Yeah.
That does not make for joint health.
No. But no, I think let's face it, it's the second team. A lot of the more likely first team starters on the bench. My view of that is just in case. They're there to come on at half time or 55 minutes if things are going a bit peaked on. But I have to say, the other side of that coin being, I love this back row. I genuinely do. Bayliss at 6, Freddie Douglas at 7, and Gregor Brown at 8. That's fierce. I love that.
I did wonder. Sorry, Leslie.
I was going to say that this must be the first time in a long time where we've not had like a Rory Darge, Matt Fagerson, like James Ritchie, or one of those stalwarts of the back row. None of them are in the team.
Yeah, and not on the bench. Yeah,
or on the bench. Yeah.
When you think about the speed, aggression, and nous of all of those three guys, I think that back row is designed for the best possible attack and defence against Fiji. In defence, they are going to be slowing the ball down horribly. I mean, we know Freddie Douglas is an absolute master at it, right? Second only to Darge. And in attack, the lines from Bayliss and Brown, and their wheels that Bayliss has, which he demonstrated at Kent. No, I love that. I'm genuinely excited to watch these guys play. I think I'm going to spend this whole match just drooling over the back row play, I suspect.
The only thing I'm not super keen on is Big Tam Jordan at 15 and Fergus Burke at 10. I think I might have put Tom Jordan at 10 and Fergus on the bench. But horses for courses, it might not be an issue, but
I agree. I think it's because he wants to go 6-2 and Jordan covers 10, whereas Burke doesn't cover 15.
Yes.
And I think Dobie's our 15 cover. That's my prediction. I think we'll see Jamie Dobie play a bit of time. When Fergus Burke comes off and Jordan goes to 10, I think we'll see. I mean, I know Ollie Smith can play obviously as a fullback to trade, but I think we'll see Dobie at 15.
That'd be interesting. Because
Ollie Smith at 10, just for the lulz.
Ollie Smith at 10, Stafford in the back row, and
Schrodinger's back row. We've always said that about Stafford.
Yep, absolutely.
Get Stafford up the line out. You know, give us full chaos on Saturday.
Yeah.
I mean, that would be his Alex Dunbarification complete.
Yes, absolutely, yeah. That was.
If he can do it for Glasgow, for Scotland.
I will never forget that Alex Dunbar lineup. It was just a thing of absolute magic. That for some reason the entire Irish pack didn't realise that this muckle centre stand right in the middle of the row. There's a move on. There's something on. Dunbar, as I recall, basically caught the ball and went over 3 yards unopposed. It was just amazing.
I was quite close to where I was sitting, watching it with a friend and colleague who enjoyed rugby but didn't know that much about it. So he didn't realise that a 12 scoring off a line out directly was a weird thing. I was too busy pointing and gibbering to be able to articulate. Use your words. Couldn't use my words.
Superb. Am I right in saying Darcy's played 15 as well?
Darcy has played 15.
So either way, we have cover. I think.
It's if it happens in the, if TJ has to go off or Fergus has to go off in the 10th minute, Ollie Smith's going to fullback. Yeah. The Jamie Dobie at fullbacks if we're up and there's 15 minutes to go, and we take a look at it.
It's interesting actually, because if you look at that and you say Burke goes off in 15-20 minutes for the sake of argument. Suddenly that back division has Jordan at 10, Sione at 12, Stafford at 13, and Ollie Smith at fullback. I'd take that. If that had been today's selection, I'd have been going, yeah, that's all right. Yeah.
Yeah, my only objection to having picked Sione as a starter is I think he's probably due a break.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I was kind of surprised to see him on the bench. But then Tooney, I think, is probably desperate for not a banana slip today, Saturday rather.
Yeah, and you want players that if things are wobbling, you want players that you can go and go. No, we just need to steady this.
Yeah,
and that's why Johnny Gray's been picked as well, because you've got a player with a ton of experience in a team that's very light on it.
Yeah,
and I fucking love the idea of Gregor Brown at 8. I wondered if that was the Dempsey succession plan. You know, and maybe it is.
It's interesting actually because you look down all of these players, you know, taking the front rows aside, there are an awful lot of Swiss Army knife type players in that 23. Guys that could easily play in a different position. I mean, you look at Cummings, Maggie Bradbury, and Liam McConnell. The only potential specialist position we're missing cover for really is a 7.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I know McConnell can play 7, as can Bayless, but they're not specialists like Freddie Douglas is. So that's about it. All the others can play multiple positions.
They're more of a 6-7. A 6-7.
Stop it now.
The last time Johnny did that, I'd do the 6 times 7 times table for him because they said that's what his classes would get as a punishment for it.
Nice. Is this Seb Stevens' debut?
Yeah, it would be. He's uncapped, isn't he?
All right, okay.
I think so. He's been very good for Glasgow.
Interesting they haven't noted it in the team selection picture, actually.
Well, maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah.
Maybe he has said that.
Shall we check?
I'm on it. I'm asking the font of all knowledge, the Wikipedia.
He's played for Emerging Scotland. As far as I can.
Yeah, that doesn't.
As far as I
count.
can see. No.
That's not a cap. International.
Yep.
No, I'm sure Wikipedia would say alongside his references for Championship Flamenco.
Cammy's retired now. He doesn't do that anymore.
That was the funniest thing was I was a listener back then, and I can remember reading that on the wiki and going, "Bally, really? That's fascinating." Before I knew how it had come to pass.
Superb. Predictions for Saturday, Leslie?
My only concern is that Fiji pull a finger out after last week. That's my only concern. But Scotland are at home. I know it's a technically Fiji home game, but Scotland are at home. So I'm going to go Scotland by 15. I think it will be closer than, given it's a rotated squad for us, and Fiji might pull a finger out.
Mark?
Yeah, I was going to say quite similar, actually. I had Scotland by 12 in my head. I think it might be a little bit squeaky, and I think the bench will be a severe game changer for us. I genuinely think shoring up the scrum and bringing on some or at least more experienced heads might actually be the turning point for us. I don't think, because let's be honest, it's pretty much a Scotland second team, and Fiji are no slouches. If they get their dander up, it's going to be good weather, dry track, etc., etc. I'm not going into this game with lack of nerves, as if we were playing Wales, for example. I'm just in that kind of mood tonight. Sorry, folks.
No, it's fine. It's amazing how many of your strays just seem to be ricocheting sort of round about Aberystwyth. I think Scotland by 21. I think Scotland by 21. I think Fiji have had a rough go of it. I think their heads are down a bit. I think we've got a team of lean and hungry young players who have something to prove. And I think there might be, and there were signs in the Argentina game that Fergus Burke has maybe just started to get international rugby. And if that's the case, then I think there might be an element whereby Scotland are like, and they might just kick for the corner, maul, stick up their jumpers, and really just sort of try to bulldoze and not get drawn into sevens, and just show that we can win that way as well. And maybe a bit more chucking it about later on. So I think we win, and I think it's by 21. But I can absolutely see the scenarios where your predictions come true. I can also see a scenario where we do lose.
Me too.
Yep.
Me too.
Stick my neck out, Scotland by 21.
Nice one. I think it'll be a high scoring game. Either way, that's why I'm saying 12, because I think it's more likely to be 36-24 than 24-12.
Yeah, fair. There's always a danger that Scotland-Fiji matches turn into a basketball game, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right. Time is moving on. We said we'd be 45 minutes, and we're way past that. So let us run into this when I find it. Mark, this is your fault. I can't find it because you had me scrolling down and looking at other things. Yeah.
Hands in the rock, who has got their hands in the rock? Hands in the rock, hands in the rock, who has got their hands in the rock?
Welcome to Hands in the Ruck, or any other business section of the pod where we get to say what's been vomiting onto our eider down after drinking cider and black this week. Leslie, what's been annoying you?
It's not really an annoyance, but it was very sad to see that Amy Barrett-Theron has had to step down in the interim from rugby because she has been diagnosed with breast cancer.
Oh, shit.
So
That's horrible.
She put up a little post on her Instagram. I think it was yesterday or today. So it looks like it's been caught quite early and is treatable, although it's as good as these things can be for cancer treatment as it could be. But obviously, it's still a diagnosis and it's still shit. So that was very sad to see this week.
Yeah, it's an awful shame. She's one of the best.
Yeah, she's very good. Yeah, it's very sad to see.
I will never forget one of my favourite reffing moments ever was her, and I think it was an under-20s match.
Yeah, another one you've been.
Scotland, and I can't remember who, but it must have been Scotland because I was watching. She actually said to the two captains, "I'm not angry, I'm just disappointed."
Yeah.
And I just felt for her to bring that on. It was just a thing of wonder.
Yeah.
That's just disappointed parent, isn't it? That's just
big time.
Oh, please just shout at us. Please just give a penalty. Marks us both back then.
She says something like, "You promised me before the game that you would, like behave," or words to that effect, and this is what you're doing. I'm disappointed.
Yeah.
It's great.
I'm disappointed.
It's a great one.
Fabulous.
Yeah.
Absolutely brilliant.
Well,
great way to handle it, particularly because it was an under-20s game, because it really was that stern parent thing that was going on. Fabulous. Very clever.
I think it's safe to say that we all wish her well and a speedy recovery, and hopefully, hopefully that it's one of these surgery and it's sorted things. Grand. Mark, what's ripped your knitting this week?
I've got a couple, but nothing massive. One of the ones that is I found quite interesting, and it has really, I find it just a wee bit irritating that I'm reading on the various media and socials, and also hearing in a couple of pods and things like that, and people saying how Scott Cummings is great, must have got so much confidence from being a Lions player. Whereas those of us that watched Glasgow before he was a Lions player are saying, isn't it great he's found his pre-Lions tour form again? And it's just like, just because he's only just come into your psyche because you don't pay any attention to the Scottish teams, don't forget, this is not because he was a Lions player. This is why he was a Lions player. You know,
Yep.
the people I think that were least surprised to see Scott Cummings picked for the Lions were all of us who follow Glasgow. He's a phenomenal player. Yes, he had an extraordinary game at the weekend, and he really played very, very well. But to me, he played like we know he can play, not new. This was a return to form, and I'm chuffed to bits for Cummings. But hands in the ruck is a wee bit like, come on, folks, just admit that you paid no attention to him, and thankfully Andy Farrell did. You know.
I think, yeah, it's your classic overnight success that's 10 years in the making, isn't it?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think that's fair. We might come back to that in 50-22. I would, my hands in the ruck, my late entry is team announcements with a video that has a soundtrack behind it, because eagle-eared listeners will have heard that that's what happened when I went to try and check the team on the Twitter announcement during the pod, frantically pressing the volume down button on my phone. So,
which is why I have sound 43 minutes and 48 seconds written on my bit of paper. So I'm going to go and try and edit it out.
Sorry about that. I thought it was a picture, and I am very cross at the SRU for showing me up like that. No, the other one's also a silly one, but Razzie's in your head, Razzie, and it's just like,
Cringe. Absolute cringe.
You mentioned it in the chat when we were watching the match last night as well. It is utterly cringeworthy, isn't it? It's just stop now. It's.
Well, I mean, to be fair,
wasn't even that funny the first time.
Yeah,
it's a bit culty.
Yeah.
I mean, South African fans, or a certain breed of South African fans, believe that as double world champions, they're somehow persecuted underdogs. And it's wonderful they've managed to get this mentality in some ways, but my God, is it wearing for the rest of us?
Yeah. No, it's something I wish we could develop. We perform worst when we're not underdogs, but as you say, you know, number one in the world champions, South Africans run out to every match perceiving themselves to be underdogs is quite some mental leap. I wish we could work out how they did it. You know?
Yeah. No, without a doubt. Without a doubt. We've got one from Brian Dalglish. Oh, sorry, Leslie.
I have one more. It is a very silly one, though, if you don't mind.
Of course.
If I have to hear Lee from Blood and Mud call Jake Dalziel one more time, there's going to be a falling out. Please learn to say his name correctly.
Yes.
It is really beginning to get to me.
It's the letter D and then the letter L, Lee. That we're here to help with. You know, you're a friend of the pod. We're all listeners to Blood and Mud, and we all enjoy it.
But
yeah,
but please stop that.
If you need pronunciation help, we're here.
And Lee, bless him, from his background, if what I'm hearing about him is correct, he should know who Tamdiel is, right?
I believe that's right.
Yes.
I think you will know who.
And you will not be calling him Dalziel. Yes. At least it's not as rabid as Xander Ferguson. But yeah.
And Brian Dalglish has got hands in the ruck, and he's saying Edinburgh returning to pre-season, all good, but then Sean Everett appeared.
Yeah, hear you, Brian. Hear you.
Thought we could have left him in South Africa.
It's like when Father Jack sobers up and goes, "Don't tell me I'm still on that feckin' island."
Yes, that's exactly right. Yeah.
Grand.
No, I have one more. And I can't believe we haven't mentioned it. That move for South Africa's second try. I'm sorry. It was fucking illegal. Law 9.26. A player can lift another player in open play, but must return him immediately to the ground. Don't tell me he was off balance. I've watched it numerous times. He takes 2 or 3 deliberate steps forward and throws the player, by which time he's behind the Scottish leading forwards who were rushing up to compete for the ball, including Darge, including Cummings, who quite rightly stood back with their arms up because it would be illegal to take him. It is coached, and if any of you are still saying no, it was an accident, go and watch exactly the same incident for South Africa under-20s versus Uruguay under-20s. It was identical. They tried it out there. They found it worked. It was coached. And thanks to our Johnny for pointing that one out. He found the clip for us. The refs need to do their job right. Fair play. Rassie's found another loophole. It was illegal. The ref needs to do his job correctly.
So I was with you all the way right up until the ref bit. I think that's difficult for a ref to spot when it's going on and everything's going on in real time at that point. The person that didn't do their job is the television match official.
Okay, yeah, fair play.
Because I I've been thinking about this, and it's tempting as it is to blame Pierre Brousset for everything, including the hole in the ozone layer. And my weird sort of shoulder pain. I think this one wasn't his fault, and I think if only the team watching things and able to watch things back to be able to go and see and go, yeah, mate, that was totally not on. And I think he was done dirty by the TMO there. I think there's one. Dan Coles also made a point. He said, I love to see it, but I worry that people are, in the amateurs game, people are going to try it, and folk aren't going to be as strong, and someone's going to get hurt.
Yes. Yeah.
I think the way to stop it, to make sure it stops happening, is we just need someone to sacrifice themselves in that they tackle the man who's holding him up. If he starts walking, referee was walking with him, I thought it was fair game. He will get sent off, sadly, but there'll be enough brouhaha about it that at that stage it will change. Yeah. Or someone does it. In fact, someone does it to England or South Africa, and it will change.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. To be perfectly honest, it'll probably change now. I would be surprised if South Africa get away with it again in international rugby. Just unfortunate that they used it against us, and it resulted in a great territorial gain, which eventually led to a try. Well, not that long after, but it didn't directly lead to the try, but it led to a 40-meter territorial gain, which helps an awful lot, right?
Yeah, no. I think we could say quite correctly it led to the try there. I think in a material effect, and it absolutely should have been pulled up by the TMO. I would agree. Yeah. I hadn't put that down because I was sure one of you two were going to mention it.
Yeah,
put that down as mine.
I've done a lot of reading up on it and looking at the various commentaries and all that sort of thing. And there's a big divide between, he just staggered forward a couple of spaces and then put him down, to no, it was quite deliberate. And the bottom line is the ones that are, he just staggered forward a couple of spaces are almost without exception South African, right? Everybody else is looking at it going, that was completely deliberate. And that's without mentioning the fact that they had done it less than a week previously with the under-20s team. Yeah. And honestly, people, I challenge you to go find that clip. South African under-20s versus Uruguay under-20s. It was identical. It has been coached. And here's another thing. You're not allowed to deliberately break the law. So if it's been coached, it makes it deliberate. It's not even a free kick, it's a penalty. Right? So there you go. That's my hands in the ruck.
Fair. Absolutely fair. Grant, we need a jingle for this, but let's move on to the happy, clappy, lovely bit, the 50-22. Mark, what's your 50-22 this week?
Only because I just found it this week, but it relates more to last week's game, and it's Gregor Hiddleston's speech when he is awarded his first cap in the Scotland dressing room after the Argentina game. And his mum's there weeping, bless, obviously chuffed to bits. His dad was clearly proud as punch, but Hiddleston's speech was hysterical in that he said, yeah, it's great being surrounded by you guys. Well, it's basically Glasgow, isn't it? And he actually said that out loud. And A, most of the players fell about themselves. And B, the look on Ben White's face was absolutely priceless. What the fuck? Who am I? But it was just so off the cuff from the young lad. But it was funny. It was great. It had all the good things about that kind of event. You know, I really, one of these things you feel really chuffed for the laddie. Yeah, really good. So that really put a smile on my face. If I can dig out because it came up on my Facebook Reels, so I'm bound to be able to find it somewhere. If I can dig it out, I'll throw in a link to it.
That would be grand. Leslie, what's your 50-22?
It's going to be the same as last week, I'm afraid. It's still the under-20s. We really did not expect them to. Argentina have been quite good, and Scotland were not favourites at all for this game. And I think they played probably their best game of the competition against them. They had a bit of a sticky patch. So far, yeah. They had a bit of a sticky patch, about 50, 60 minutes, and managed to get through it, and then scored more tries and really saw the game out. And that's exactly the kind of stuff we want to see, the senior team do, never mind the under-20s. So, and a shout out to their forwards, because there are some big gnarly boys in there that Scotland have not produced, often. So that is lovely to see, and good on them, because they're playing every 4 or 5 days or something like that. Currently, there's just no week turnaround. I think it's 4 days or something. So to be going, and it's a pretty settled team. There's some rotation, but not a huge amount. So front rowers especially are going, quite deep in, 50, 60 minutes, and then playing again 4 days later, 5 days later. It's a lot, and they're still putting in the performances. So bloody good on them.
Yeah, I totally agree. I spoke briefly about it earlier, and yeah, fabulous, really fabulous. And if anybody who's listening hasn't watched it, go watch it. Genuinely, they've been playing some great rugby. Yeah, really good rugby.
I think the motion's carried. Proposed, seconded, carried. So
we're going to start another jar, Alan.
Listen, we are not starting another jar. That was expensive. Anyway, my hands in the ruck. I have 4 words for you: Imperial, Phase, Scott, Cummings. Yes, Mark, I take your point that this hasn't come from nowhere, but he is performing at the top of his game just now, and he's been extremely good in the last 2, and not just doing the bread and butter, doing other stuff in the last 2 games. Line break, finishing off that move in the Argentina game. He has entered his Imperial phase, and I am here for it.
Yeah, totally agree. I think we spoke about it on our chat group, even during Glasgow's running towards the knockout games when he came back from injury. And my immediate instinct was that Glasgow missed Scott Cummings' hands.
Mm-hmm. He's
For a
got very
second.
good. He's got very
Great
good hands.
lovely distribution, all that kind of thing. He doesn't just run in and go to deck. You know, if it needs an offload, he gives the offload. Yeah, fabulous player. Can't speak highly enough about him.
Yeah, agreed. Absolutely agreed. I think that's probably the point in which we will end on the Imperial phase, Scott Cummings. And all that serves for me is to bid you all a very good day. And it's a good day from me. Good day from Mark.
Good day.
And from Leslie.
Bye.
Thank you, and we'll see you again next week.
Cheers.